Australian Securities and Investment Commission, that is ASIC. This case basically focuses on the duties that are required by the non-director officers, such as duties such as care and diligence that are required to be performed by the non-director officers. So this company called AMP had to overtake a company called Geo Holdings, and for that an accurate profit estimate was required in the Geo's financial statement. Now, the profit of $250 million was given, out of which $80 million were from Geo Reinsurance, which was a subsidiary of Geo Limited. After assessing everything, this estimate was, after assessing all the losses, this estimate was incurred as, sorry, pause.
Start.
So this case concerns a company called AMP Limited, which had to take over a company called Geo Holdings, and for that an accurate profit estimate was required in the Geo's target statement. Profit of $250 million was given, out of which $80 million were from Geo Reinsurance, that was a subsidiary of Geo Limited. This estimate was made after assessing all the losses which were incurred because of a hurricane that struck Mexico. This estimate was held to be later wrong, as the total claims from the hurricane were around $100 million when AMP's bid closed. Now, Mr. Wines, who was the Chief Financial Officer, among the other things, did not verify and did not monitor the continuing losses from the hurricane. Now, the issue before the court was that whether Mr. Wines was to be held responsible for not exercising care in assessing the reliability of the information given to him by the other officer. In other words, had Mr. Wine breached his statutory duty even though he was not a director? Now, in the section 180 subsection 1 of the Corporation Act 2001 lists the duties for the directors, with the duty to exercise care and diligence as being one of them. So, because Mr. Wines, he failed to properly inform regarding the profit estimate, and also he failed to ensure the monitoring of the continuing losses, even after knowing that no other company could be relied upon to protect the profit forecast. He was held to have breached his statutory duty based on the reasoning that any reasonable person in his position would have verified the information provided to him by the other officers, and he should have exercised care and verified the information provided to him. By this case, we clearly see that it's a bit unusual, because Mr. Wines was not a director, he was an officer, he was an executive officer, and and secondly, he was just a supervisor, and he was held responsible for something the other officers were entitled to do, that is the operational functions. So it can be said that a non-director officer, such as Mr. Wines, he can also be held in the case of breaching his statutory duties, and the officers need to place greater emphasis on the capabilities of the middle management, that all the information provided by them is correct. Otherwise, if the information is not correct, the middle management will not be held responsible, rather the supervisors will be held responsible for it. Thank you.